The city of Leander is on the rise. Back in 2022, it was the fourth fastest growing city in the entire country. And I especially like the approach they took towards their growth. About a decade ago, they primarily focused on increasing the number of housing units within the city, so they approved a lot of new construction housing projects. Now that many of those homes are built, the city is reaping the rewards of all the property tax revenue that it's generating, and they're reallocating those funds towards growing out their infrastructure and also towards increasing the number of retail and commercial properties that are within the city. As they continue to increase the number of retail and commercial properties, like North Line that's currently under construction, it's going to bring in even more revenue for the city, and it'll also introduce new jobs. So this is what's going on in Leander currently. This is a bird's eye view, but I want to get into the cost of living in Leander, Texas. So let's get right into it. Hey there, my name is Ahmad Homidi and thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, please consider liking and subscribing so that you can be notified when my next video hits YouTube. Also, I quickly wanted to mention that I do get calls and texts and emails from people from all over the country who are thinking about moving into the Austin area. I've been a realtor for over 20 years, and you don't last that long in the business without having a strong sense for customer service, aka I don't believe in pressure sales. And I really think you need to be a market expert. If you are somebody that's thinking about moving into the Austin area, please do reach out. I would love to be a resource for you. Throughout this video, I'm going to be referring to my notes because I want to make sure that I provide you with accurate and reliable information, starting with the current population in Leander. So according to the US Census Bureau, the current population in Leander is 74,375 people, but the census was completed in July of 2022. City officials think that now the current estimate for the number of people living in Leander is closer to around 90,000 people. The median household income in Leander is $106,108. The national average is $74,580. The average home price in Leander is $440,100. And if you compare the average cost of a home throughout the US, the national average is $338,100. The unemployment rate in Leander is currently at 2.9%, and the national average comes in at 3.7% as of the date of recording this video. So here's what all these numbers tell us. Residents in Leander, they earn a greater median household income than the national average. However, they're spending a majority of their income on greater housing costs. Residents in Leander have a higher rate of employment, and I think that has a lot to do with the growth in the tech sector here in Austin. So I think people in Leander are working in tech, and they're also working in other high-paying fields. Next, let's talk about the cost of living index score. You might be wondering, what the heck is a cost of living index score? Well, it's a score that's made up of different components, and those components are housing costs and healthcare costs, food costs, and transportation costs. The national average comes in right at 100. So if your city comes in with an index score that's less than 100, that means that your city is actually cheaper to live in. And if your city comes in with a cost of index score that's greater than 100, that means that it's more costly to live in that city. Well, Leander comes in with a cost of living index score of 116.9, which indicates that it's well above the national average. And that's because Leander is home to some of Austin's most beautiful luxury home communities. Communities like Treviso and Bryson and Crystal Falls and Palmyra Ridge, and so many more that I can name off. Let's take a look at each one of these components in depth so that we can better understand why the city of Leander has a cost of living index score of 116.9. For housing costs, the city of Leander has a score of 154.3, which is well above the national average. For food costs, the city of Leander has a score of 94, which is below the national average. That means that buying your groceries or going out to eat is a lot less expensive in Leander as compared to the national average. For healthcare costs, Leander has a score of 100.7, which is right at the national average. For transportation, Leander has a score of 118.3. The transportation score is high because Leander really doesn't have an expansive public transportation system. You have to have a car to get around the greater Austin metro area. The fact that you need to have a car really has skewed the cost of index score to be much higher. And now the funny thing is, Leander has a score of 118.3, but it's one of the cities where there is a rail, the CAP Metro, that will take you from Leander to downtown Austin. I'm curious to find out what the other cities located around Austin, what their transportation scores are, if Leander's is this high and it's one of the cities that actually does have public transportation. And here are my takeaways. The city of Leander has a lot going for it, but it is a costly city to live in, especially if you're looking to buy a home. Now, of course, you do have the option to buy a home starting in the $300K to $400K price range. You also have the option to buy one in one of the neighboring cities where the cost of homes are a little bit lower, but most people want to buy in Leander because of the luxury home communities, homes starting $800K and well into the millions. It's really what's drawing a lot of people to move into Leander. Now, if we were to put aside housing costs, it actually is an affordable place to live. As I mentioned, food costs are much lower, and then there are costs for things that we haven't discussed. For example, gas prices in Leander are very cheap right now. As on the date of filming this video, gas prices in Leander are $2.60 per gallon. And then there are other costs, like for example, renewing your car registration. It's much cheaper in Leander than the national average. And then costs just to go out and spend a day out with family or friends and spend money on entertainment. Those costs are also much cheaper in Leander than the national average. So if we're looking at housing costs, which is skewing the cost of living in Leander, yes, the overall cost to live in Leander is expensive. However, if we just put that to the side, everything else is well below the national average, of course, with the exception of transportation costs, which we discussed. I think overall, Leander is a beautiful place to live. I can definitely see why so many people are interested in moving into Leander. So those are my overall thoughts. I'd love to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments below. My name is Ahmad Homidi. Thank you for watching. These are my thoughts on the cost of living in Leander, Texas, and I will see you again in the next video.